Okay. Call to order. According to this clock, it's 6:03. That one's a little,
Yeah, my watch
Slow.
says 6:03. I think we're all right.
okay. We gotta get Phil to fix the clock again. Change the battery.
Make a note of that, Chris.
Speed it up. So there are no additions to or deletions from the posted agenda, so we can go on to, do we have citizen comments? We have citizens, but no comments. Public hearing proposed zoning regulation amendment.
Michael's actually here. Want me to go here?
Would you please?
He's not here yet. He is here. Here he comes. Yeah, we're on. You're on. You're on, we're on. Sorry, Michael.
I used to be in first.
Hey.
You all have a copy of this, right?
Yes.
And it is at your insistence that we're adopting this collectively.
Hi, Matey.
And if you recollect, there was a little error when we adopted these.
Wetlands.
It'd be in section 403, conservation districts. Everyone have that?
Yes.
And it actually allowed development within the wetland with a review by the Conservation Commission and Development Review Board, but did not allow such in the buffer area, which is kind of contrary to what one would think. We'd be a little more lenient in the buffer area than it would be in the wetland. So the new language, any disturbance of vegetation, soils, or forest canopy shall require review by Conservation Commission and conditional use approval by the Town Development Review Board, fixes that. So we take out the prohibiting disturbance of vegetation, soils, or the forest canopy. Then we also added D, which is the applicant shall prove there is no other practical location on the property, but that located within the buffer for the intended development. The applicant shall prove that any work or use proposed within the buffer shall prohibit stormwater, sediment, or other forms of erosion from entering the wetland. It shall not create an undue impact on fish or wildlife habitat. That just gives a little bit of criteria so that we can have a review process. Previous to this, there weren't really criteria because the intent of the original drafters was to prohibit any development. But this would allow that. And we're, an addendum is, we're rewriting the town zoning regulations now. We do that every 5 years. And we'll be making a few little minor changes in the wetland section as in the rest of the zoning, but this will serve your purposes for a moment. And that'll be hopefully done by June, right, Sally?
Hopefully. We're working, right?
So we'll be back before you shortly. Any questions?
I think that's the only thing I'll ask Michael, because I'm curious, is
Please.
in your experience, have you very often had requests for development within the wetland or wetland buffers?
Yes, yes. we
You do? Okay.
Yes. We have one ongoing now on Route 106 South.
Okay.
Who wants to put a garage in. We just allowed a pond up on Gabriel Road to be built in a wetland.
Yeah.
It does come up
Okay.
fairly frequently, probably
Okay.
5-6 times a year, to be honest.
Oh, that's,
Used to be ridgeline, scenic ridgelines were the main thing the Conservation Commission
Yeah.
reviewed. Now it's the wetland. Riparian buffer is also a big item
yep,
that we're reviewing a lot of.
yep. Okay.
And I brought a wetlands map behind you if you wish to
Wow.
see what things are impacted. The green are the wetlands, not the yellow ones.
I was going to say, I'm used to thinking of wetlands as bluish, but yeah, no, I get it.
No, green.
Yeah.
There's different shades of green on there. There's 3 different colors of green, but
Right.
the yellow is not. Those are forested areas.
Is anybody willing to make a motion on this?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we approve this, I guess we call it a change to the zoning regulations. Yes.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the change in the Conservation District Wetland Water Quality and Aquatic Habitat Protection Area. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
So within 21 days, this will become effective.
Okay,
Thank you.
Anything else?
Great.
You all set?
frozen wetlands right now. Thank you. Okay, so, any old business? No. Liquor license renewal?
Oh, wrap.
We have that time of year.
Yeah.
So we have Village Butcher, Village Inn of Woodstock, South Woodstock Country Store, Maple Fields, Gillingham's, 506 on the River, and Malaza LLC. So everything, so it looks is all paid up and that we know of?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Some of them I didn't make a mark on there, but
All right.
they did check them out.
And these are liquor and, I think they're just liquor licenses.
Well, seeing as they are, their insurance, their taxes, I'm sorry, are paid up, and we've had no complaints, I will make the motion that we approve these liquor licenses.
I'll second. Oh, John
Go
second.
ahead.
John?
John
John's
seconds.
got it.
Motion's made and seconded to accept all the liquor license renewals. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? And we need to sign those?
You will.
Yes, okay. We will sign those. So we can go on to the appointment of a 911 coordinator?
Yeah, David Green is willing to do that.
Great.
Good.
I move that we appoint David Green.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Fireworks 2016.
Yes, it is, it's in your budget for $7,500. This is a $10,000 shoot, and so far I've been fortunate enough to raise privately the balance. But before I sign the contract, I'd like some board authority. It's set for July 4th.
I make a
We always
motion
do
to
it on
grant
the
that
fourth.
authority.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for Phil to control the fireworks in 2016. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And we go on to Special Olympics. We
Those
have
fireworks are funded by the Woodstock
by the
Rotary
Woods,
Club.
the Rotary. Okay, so we don't have to. So thank you to the Woodstock Rotary. Certificate of highway mileage, that time of year also.
Yeah, so this is a statement proving to the agency of transportation how much money the town spends on road maintenance, and it turns around and brings you, I think it's about $140,000 of state highway aid, which helps pay for road maintenance.
And what was the change?
The change is those
0.7.
0.7 up top of Westerdale that's going
What is that?
from class 3 to class 4,
Yeah.
based on the 59 work.
So I will make a motion to approve this highway certificate, highway mileage certificate.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded to go ahead with the certificate of highway mileage for 2016. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Extension request for the Board of Listers.
So this is from actually last year's grand list, not 2016, this was
Okay.
2015. It has to do with the current use program is, they changed the rules and a lot of people are bailing out of current use. And statewide, there's a lot of it, and there's slow processing papers that affects Woodstock's grand list. So the pinch point here is the State of Vermont Agency of Property Valuation and Review.
Unfortunate.
Hmm.
We're gonna be a year behind.
Yes, this will conceivably affect the 2016.
So do we need a motion to approve the
Yes,
extension?
the board has to approve this.
Okay,
In fact, probably this might be one for you to sign, Grady.
okay. Do I have a motion to extend this?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion's made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Sorry. Oops. So then we can go on to town meeting. Oh, no. No, I've skipped over Charlie, sorry. Economic Development Commission.
Hi.
We were just
A little Freudian there.
non-intentional.
Okay, well, the Economic Development Commission has actually obtained or received 9 applications for funding requests, and we are actually presenting 3 of those 9 to you today. So the other 6 will be either tabled or declined. So I think you have some of the applications, some of the information in front of you, and we can address each one. This is the first time we've done this. These are funds that are to be withdrawn from the Community and Economic Development Fund, or at least authorized to be withdrawn from it. So the first request is really for an East End developer package, which is a request received from Sustainable Woodstock and the East End Action Group. That's for $12,000, up to $12,000 to go out and have a firm develop a complete developer package, complete with base maps, aerial photographs, and all other information that is relevant to the redevelopment of that end of town. As part of our process, we use a rubric to evaluate each request, and this particular request received a very high marks from all of the commissioners. Not to say it was unanimous. There's some concern about, well, aren't we helping out these private landowners make their property more saleable? But in the end, the consensus of the commission was that we are indeed helping the town by returning this property to use. And it'll help increase the tax base and also improve the visual impact upon entering the town. So that's part of the criteria that we use in looking at each funding request. So we are recommending that $12,000 be allocated from the Community and Economic Development Fund for this particular purpose. I know members of the East End Action Group are here. Tom Weschler is here as well from the EDC and can share with you our deliberations if you like. That's the first request. Do you want to go on each one, or do you want to go with a total package of the $16,000 in requests that we're making today?
Why don't you go through all 3?
Okay, so number 2. Number 2, we received from the Woodstock Chamber of Commerce a request to help fund the flower baskets that are erected in the center of the village. The request was for $6,200, and we really struggled with this because it is a civic beautification effort. And civic beautification, by definition, is going to make it more attractive to live here, make it more attractive for tourism economy, for the tourists to come. But it's also harder to defend in the sense of, can you tie a direct economic benefit to funding flower baskets? And there's already some funding in place. However, the chamber's always been hat in hand going to merchants door to door asking for funds to fund the flower baskets. We do feel like it does contribute to the overall beauty of the village of Woodstock. And so we did vote to allocate $2,000 of the $6,200 request for the purpose of purchasing the plants and also replacing a couple of the baskets that needed repair. So that's the $2,000 which we're passing on to the select board and asking for funding from that. The third request that we had was also presented by the Chamber of Commerce, and that is for Maple Madness. Maple Madness is happening on April 2nd and 3rd that weekend, and that is a request to help promote this, to bring people into Woodstock in a slow time of year. Again, we use a rubric to say how many people are you going to bring in, who is it, and that type of thing. So it's tying together some different events that the chamber sponsored, but also Vermont Overland has a bike race that brings in over 100 people into town from all over New England. So we looked at that and said, this is a way that we can help bring or bridge some of the shoulder season. And that's an important part for us to look at is an event really happening in the shoulder season. So those are the 3 requests. In each case, the applicants have already made substantial financial investments. Sustainable Woodstock has either raised money or obtained grants for the whole East End redevelopment and spent a considerable amount of time. The flower baskets is $2,000 out of a $7,300 budget, I believe. So it's only a portion of it. And then Maple Madness, we're looking at a $2,500 cost that they're already covering in part by sponsorship, but then $2,000 additional. So we really felt like those organizations really stepped up. We had 6 other requests, and I'll just briefly tell you why we didn't fund those if you're interested.
Yes.
Okay. So we had a request from Sustainable Woodstock again, but also was really on behalf of the village in ways to replace the trash barrels and recycling receptacles around the village. It's not a cheap proposition to do a nice job with those nice baskets. It was a $28,000 request. We felt at the time that we didn't have enough information on it, but also we put in that rubric again. It was like, well, we struggled with where does this funding request belong? Is it with the EDC? Is it in the village budget? Where does it belong? So that was one of the major things. Again, civic beautification, do the trash barrels contribute to the economic vitality of the town? You could argue that they do, but we had a real rough time passing that. So we actually tabled it for the time being. We did not deny the request. We had a request from a young graduate, Aiden Saunders, who was going to put together a narrative film. It was a great idea about how to promote Woodstock and have this film go around and tell the story of what it's like to live in Woodstock from a particular perspective. And it was a $10,000 request, and we said, we like what you're doing, we like the idea, but we can't really get behind it yet. We think that works better when a public relations firm is involved to help direct as to what that content may be, which is the next one, the public relations firm. This is a request from the EDC itself, looking for an allocation towards hiring a PR firm. And we're looking at about $12,500 a quarter. But it would be nice if we had the actual response to our RFP in hand in order to say this is what we're proposing based on the responses to our RFP. So we did not bring that to the table because we don't have the bids yet. Another is a $5,000 request for signs on each end of town saying welcome to Woodstock on the east and west ends of the town of Woodstock, which there is none on Route 4. So
Are these radar signs?
No, they're not radar signs. No.
Because we talked about that last week.
No, so it's, and it was felt like there was not enough demarcation to say welcome to the town of Woodstock when you're from Bridgewater or from the Tasker or from Heartland. And the request that we actually had an estimate drawn up in September, but we looked at the actual money allocated, the estimate, and we thought it's not enough money, and there's not enough public support yet demonstrated to say we want to put in a sign. It was $5,000 by our own estimations from people on the commission. It's like a really good sign is going to cost you $5,000 a piece, probably more than that. So we tabled that as well, said we need more information, we need to get some more support. Let's see, I know I'm forgetting a couple. You remember any, Tom?
No, you're doing well.
Yeah, April Woodstock.
Oh, yes. There's a group that formed to say, to want to coordinate different events and different cultural organizations and bring more people to Woodstock to celebrate what was already going on in the month of April. It's a great idea. It's very new. It's in the formative stages. And it's really an umbrella of nonprofit organizations is trying to promote this. We thought it was just a little too green, a little too ambiguous at this point. We liked the idea. We liked, again, bringing people into town when it's the shoulder season, but it just wasn't enough. There wasn't enough meat on it yet. So they were encouraged, I think, to go out and maybe try some things this year and come back for some funding requests in future years. Yeah. So when we're looking at stuff, the rubric that we use and everything else really tries to back up the two objectives which we've tried to set out for the Woodstock Economic Development Commission. One is, does it attract visitors to Woodstock who have a chance of making a connection with the area and meaningfully contribute to the economy? That's one. The second is how to grow and diversify the population. Those are the two overriding objectives that we have. So that's what we're going to. The stuff that is on the docket for which we're not, besides the PR firm, is that we've put out an RFI to the 5 telecommunications companies to talk about how can we establish 1 gigabit per service internet connection to every home and business in Woodstock in 2 years. We don't know what that means for us in terms of a financial commitment. It may mean nothing, but it may mean that we have to hire somebody to help facilitate that, depending on what those responses are to the RFI. So we anticipate that those responses coming in mid-February. There seems to be a lot of interest from the different telecommunications companies. And we'll be coming to you, I think, with a financial request at some point in time regarding that. So that's kind of in a nutshell some of the things that we've looked at. There's other things, other considerations. For instance, just quickly, Barry Millstone, one of our commission members, has been doing a lot of research, survey work, and thought into the parking situation in the central business district and in all of the downtown area of Woodstock. Very thoughtful research, but in the end, it's going to be a decision or an initiative that has to be embraced totally by the village trustees. So that's our next move, is really to say, here's all the research we've come up with, here's some ideas, we really need the trustees to embrace that. We're not proposing spending anything on that at this point. There are other resources available, but just to let you know that that's another initiative that we're working on.
Busy, busy.
It's been busy, so right now we're in a quarterly funding application process, which we've told people. 1 month we receive the applications, the next we review them, and the third we present to you. So that's where we is. And in November, just for number's sake, we received $74,000 in revenue from the 1% options tax. So we're looking for 16,000 of that at this point in time. We don't feel compelled to spend all the money because that will accrue and it'll be there for a larger project when is needed.
Well, as you,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Charlie, as you said, this is a new process for you. It's also a new process for us, but I would be inclined to say that our role is not to micromanage these requests. You've gone through them thoroughly. It's just to be one more layer of review to make sure that they all feel right. So I guess I will make the motion that we accept the 3 proposals you put before us, but then we can discuss it if it's seconded.
I will second it.
Okay, any further discussion? Do you have a question, Bob? Same thing? No?
No,
Great.
this is your recommendation.
It is.
For this quarter.
You've done a lot of work.
And you've obviously done a lot of work, so
Yeah. No.
I'm willing to go along with that.
Any other comments? No. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Good.
Thank you, Charlie.
Don't feel badly if it's a quick decision. We're saying you're doing
I
a
know.
good job.
I just-
Yeah.
Mary, would you like to add something?
I'd like to ask a question.
Okay.
First of all, thank you. On behalf of the East End Action Group, we're really excited about being able to push ahead with this. We're already contacting property owners and trying to set up meetings and move this forward. We have drafted, in fact, already an RFP in the hope and promise that this would be approved tonight. We have a couple of procedural questions. Number 1 is, to whom should the RFP submissions be sent?
Why don't you have it submitted yourselves and your group can review them, and ultimately they should come up here.
Okay,
And any contract would be in the name of the town.
okay. And the final decision in RFP language will be made by the select board?
Yes.
Correct. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Money goes through us.
Say hi to Sadie Hawkins for me, then, but.
Okay.
So one question for you, Mary. Does your proposal state specifically that there'll be a maximum, or let me rephrase that, the language should state you're looking for a maximum not to exceed from your bidders,
Correct,
but you shouldn't give them the number.
correct.
And I'll just throw something in. As part of the discussion, we said you need to ask the landowners to contribute something. Not conditioned upon that, but we really think that they should be approached. Because they will benefit from this whole process.
Sure.
Great.
Great. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we can go on to town meeting.
Yes.
Discussion of wording for warrant articles.
We have, Thursday is the first day that you can sign the warning. So I was hoping you could get together Thursday morning at 8, and knock it out.
Yep.
So we do have, I had it earlier, I'm not sure where it is. Pretty much the bond vote article. Here it is.
Declaration of official.
The last page, and that little
This one.
stapled together bunch.
Yep. Article for the.
The last page
not to
is just a
exceed.
single article.
Yep. This is for the restrooms,
Yes.
office.
The office.
Yeah, I've got that. Thank you.
So if, do you see it, John?
Yeah.
You found it right there.
Yeah.
So it's asking to borrow up to $100,000 and is pledging all the proceeds of rent to pay the debt.
Mhm. Which is what we talked about.
Yes. And all the other papers is required by the state of Vermont, but that will not be voted on at town meeting. It will not be part of your town meeting warning. It will be a separate piece of paper
Okay.
at town meeting day voting.
Voting, so they have to.
It's a separate piece of paper because it'll save you a lot of money in advertising costs that way.
Yeah.
Can it be spoken about at,
Yes.
do you meet on the 27th of
Saturday,
February?
it can be certainly spoken about, yes.
Okay,
That's the time to speak about
to speak
these.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
Can I write on this? Is this mine or?
Sure, that's yours.
Okay.
So I mean, this is exactly what we talked about
Right.
last month, so I
Yeah.
will make a motion that we go ahead and,
Use that language, and
Use
you'll
that
sign it
language.
on Thursday.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep,
But there was still time to change the language if anybody wanted to.
it looks good. Do I have a
Do we even
second?
need a motion
Do
to
we
do
need a
that?
motion?
Not today, just,
Okay.
I mean, everybody agrees that that's what you'll
Okay.
see on Thursday
Yep.
morning.
Yeah, okay.
Australia.
And Bruce, the other day, you asked about inviting contractors to have a look. I'm giving them a look on Friday morning, and then after town meeting, we'll officially send out official bid notifications. I spoke with Ingrid, our architect, about doing it as a design build to save architect fees and engineering fees. She says, that's perfect. That's the way you should do a small project like this. So that'll save some expenses.
Great. Australian ballot voting, is that part of that, or?
There'll be Australian ballot
Yeah.
voting, that is part of the warning that you sign.
Oh, okay, all right. And we scheduled the meeting to sign the warning for Thursday. And the bond papers for the Welcome Center? Would that?
That'll be
that's all
Thursday.
parts? Okay, that's all the four parts to what we just did. Okay, town
Yeah.
report cover.
On TV?
Yeah, no, you got the picture?
Yep.
Yeah, pass those around.
Changed it to.
So this is the photograph of the
Oh, good, you
crowd
got the crowd.
at the,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
to celebrate our community event for the cover.
You in there, John?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not-
I don't think I'm in there.
I see Phil.
Yeah.
And then that's the dedication, if no one would, if people would refrain from saying the name out loud,
Okay.
Picture.
so it can be a surprise to the family.
Who wants to see it?
Oh, yes.
So we can't show them this one.
You'll have to wait a couple weeks.
You have to wait a couple weeks. It's a surprise.
That'll make good town report.
Yep. Okay. Application for excavation in town
Yeah,
limits.
on Lyman Lane, the owner of, one of the property owners would like to remove a stone wall. It's in the highway right of way, and it's also on his property. And John and I looked at it and don't see any value to the town road. Tends to hold water back anyway.
Think it'll be better, really.
Without it, yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to recuse myself from voting on this one. It's a client of mine.
Okay.
Who gets to keep the stones?
Didn't ask.
Who do they belong to now?
Well, and the theory that if we cut wood in the highway right of way, it belongs to the landowner. We only have a right of way for highway maintenance. So I'd say the stones belong to the landowner on that same established principle of wood.
Okay.
We only have a right of way, and it's only for highway purposes.
Okay.
That's my understanding of the law as well.
Yeah. We did get a nice haul of nice flat stones recently, a couple nice big truckloads.
Oh. Okay, do we need a motion to accept this application or to approve?
Yes, please.
Do I have a motion to
I
approve?
bet John would make that one.
John, you
I'll
make a motion?
Make the motion to approve it, yes.
I'll second it.
All right, motion's made and seconded to approve the application to remove the stones. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And
One abstention.
one abstention. Okay, sewer commissioners.
Yeah, under the sewer commission, we didn't amend your agenda in the beginning. I have a couple adjustments, not very many. In all cases, the bills are going down because you have fewer people living in the units, or you no longer have a rental apartment.
Or no longer have a house.
And, yes, there are 5, and they're all appropriate, and you got the list.
Did you get your packet today?
No,
So are these all ones you're recommending?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
no. 2 people in town did, but you got that over there.
We can do them all at once, can't we?
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
list.
Doesn't come with-
I would move that we grant these adjustments to the 5 sewer bills.
And I will second that.
Motion's made and seconded to accept the adjustments on the sewer bills. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 I think I should not vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, might be,
One,
yeah.
There is one, yeah.
yep, okay. All those that we have, ayes have it and 1 abstention. Okay, is that it for sewer?
Yeah.
sewer, we got town meeting. Beth, was there anything else?
No, I'm just sitting here amazed at the brevity and the depth of your meeting versus the trustees.
Merger.
We do like to get through our business, and I hope
You
it's
do a
not,
very
and I hope it's not
confident
too
job.
fast, but the bottom line is, we just don't see the point in our, like these grants that came in. I mean, we could
That should be
nitpick
on
them,
your
but
next.
we do have one more item here about
Yeah.
bike paths. I don't know
I'm gonna
whether,
put that on your next agenda.
Okay.
It just came in today.
Yeah.
Okay.
My last time to be able to say it. We're able to do that because of these two people at the ends of the table.
I know,
yeah.
Yes,
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
exactly.
but they have the same two people.
Excuse me? I know.
The trustees have
No,
the
the
same
trustees
two
have
people.
the, no, I know. And the camera's rolling, and we're not, it's just,
Yeah, that's true, they were.
and the county budget highlights are just here for our information, nothing
Correct.
about it, yeah, right?
That tax rate will be virtually unchanged.
And then the Vermont local roads, or is that just for me?
I guess they all came in
Oh.
addressed to you because you're on their list.
Okay, my name's on it, but, okay, good. Not for business tonight, anyway.
No,
Right.
that is correct.
These are all more papers. Papers.
No, I have the same amazement, Beth, because I looked at this agenda and I said, gosh, guys, I'm
Said,
gonna
I've
have,
got-
I have to leave at 7, it's a long agenda, well, here we are, and, oh, well, good.
Approval of the minutes, December.
I looked them over pretty careful,
Thank
put them down
you.
to legalize.
I didn't get the chance to, John, but I trust your,
I couldn't find a single thing wrong with them.
Not a,
Not a
like I
thing?
said, Lynn needs to leave some things for you to
She
find.
must have some great eyes or something.
So is that
Or
a
a good
motion?
memory.
Is that a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion, we approve the
Oh, is
minutes.
that things for me to
I will
sign?
second it.
Motion's made and
I read them
seconded.
over a couple
All
times.
those in favor, please say aye.
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 Is this
Okay,
for-
guys, we do have some things to sign.
Was this for both sets? Your motion?
That's just for
Yeah.
Grady. That's just for Grady.
Both sets.
Okay,
And do you have an extra pen?
minutes have been passed, ready to sign. Okay,
Yeah.
so I need a motion to adjourn after we sign
What else you got?
expense warrants.
So moved.